Hello, my name is Zachary Lynch, and I will be summarizing Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Chapter 1. Assume You Know. Sinek incites the notion of relativity in his definition of assumptions, stating, quote, behavior is affected by our assumptions or our perceived truths, and we make decisions based on what we think we know. Page 11. There are obvious assumptions that must be made and relied upon in order to make educated decisions. A vetting process is necessary in distinguishing the applicability of such assumptions, because, as Sinek highlights, quote, you have to be careful what you think you know. Assumptions, even when based on sound research, can lead one astray. Page 13. Consider a focus group. One may receive favorable or unfavorable responses, but why? Was the group statistically significant? Did it target the correct demographic? Was there a potential for bias? Simply assuming results as absolute will not foster prolonged success. Chapter 2. Carrots and Sticks. Sinek prefaces Chapter 2 with the idea of manipulation versus inspiration by stating, quote, most businesses today are making decisions based on a set of incomplete, or worse, completely flawed assumptions about what's driving their business. Page 16. Sinek establishes his position in claiming there are only two ways to influence human behavior. One can manipulate it, or one can inspire it. When one is unable to inspire due to this lack of understanding, they result to customer or company manipulation, whether it be, quote, dropping the price, running a promotion, using fear, peer pressure, or aspirational messages, and promising innovation to influence behavior. These can be successful, but are not conducive to a why-oriented individual or firm. Chapter 3. The Golden Circle. The Golden Circle is a representation of the Golden Formula, which, quote, produces repeatable and predictable results in places where such results might have been assumed to be a random occurrence or luck. It helps us understand why we do what we do. The Golden Circle provides compelling evidence of how much more we can achieve if we remind ourselves to start everything we do by asking why. End quote, page 38. The applications of the Golden Circle include, but are not limited to, vastly improving leadership, corporate culture, hiring, product development, sales, and marketing. It explains loyalty and how to create enough momentum to turn an idea into a social movement. End quote, page 38. The model begins at the center and radially progresses. Why is defined as what is one's purpose, cause, or belief? Why does a company exist? Why does one get out of bed every morning? And why should anyone care? How is defined as differentiating value, proposition, proprietary process, or unique selling position. What is defined as easily describable products or services a company sells or the job function within that system. Typical firms are unsuccessful because they first address what, then how, then why. This method fails because people don't buy what one does, they buy why one does it. While knowing your why is not the only way to be successful, it is the only way to maintain a lasting success and have a greater blend of innovation and flexibility. End quote, page 50. Chapter 4. This is not opinion, this is biology. For a firm to appeal to a customer's gut decision, they must appeal to emotion rather than common sense, an interaction that takes place in the limbic brain, which is, quote, powerful enough to drive human behavior that sometimes contradicts one's rational and analytical understanding of the situation, end quote, page 56. As stated by Sinek, quote, people don't buy what one does, they buy why one does it. A failure to communicate why creates nothing but stress and doubt. End quote. In sum, Sinek advocates, great leaders are those who trust their gut. They are those who understand the art before the science. They win hearts before minds. They are the ones who start with why. Chapter 9. Know why, know how, then what? The, Quote, the leader sitting at the top of the organization is the inspiration, the symbol of the reason one does what they do. Absent the proper language to share our deep emotions, our purpose, cause, or belief, we tell stories. We use symbols. We create tangible things for those who believe what we believe to point to and say, that's why I'm inspired. If done properly, that's what marketing, branding, and services become. A way for organizations to communicate to the outside world. Communicate clearly, and one shall be understood. End quote, page 157 to 158. Chapter 10. Communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. Quote, people follow dictators not because they want to, but because they have to. For companies to be perceived as great leaders and not dictators, all their symbols, including their logos, need to stand for something in which all can support. That takes clarity, discipline, and consistency. Chapter 10. The New Competition. Sinek's closing principle is this, quote, when you compete against everyone else, no one wants to help you. But when you compete against yourself, everyone wants to help you. End quote, page 223. Businesses today are primarily focused on doing better than, or competing against others. But as Sinek proposes, quote, what if we showed up to work every day simply to be better than ourselves? What if the goal was to do better work this week than what we did the week before? To make this month better than last month? For no other reason than because we want to leave the organization in a better state than when we found it. All organizations start with why, but only the great ones keep their why year after year. End quote, page 224.